Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Housing Minister outlines plans for upcoming housing schemes in the Debe region. The Ministry of National Security calls on all officers across the country to make local law enforcement and public safety more effective for citizens. And Oropouche West MP says keeping the traditions of Ram Leela alive starts with passing it on to the next generation. Thank you for joining us. Housing Minister, the Honourable Dr. Rudal Munilal, is outlining plans for new upcoming housing schemes in the Debe region. The houses are expected to facilitate boarding facilities for university staff as construction of the Debe campus of the University of the West Indies has commenced. The minister was speaking at Ram Leela celebrations within his constituency of Oropouche East, where he notes such projects have the potential to develop the area into a thriving business community.
Housing Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal is vowing to construct a new residential area in the district of Debe. It's expected that the project will provide accommodations for lecturers and students as the construction of the new South Campus of the University of the West Indies gets underway. The minister unveiled the plans as he addressed Ram Leela celebrations hosted in his constituency, where he noted that such developments had the potential to create new entrepreneurial avenues for the people living in the area.
I have also pledged to establish on my left another housing settlement, a middle upper scale housing settlement called Fidelis South, which will house our lecturers, our academic workers, our staff from the University of the West Indies. So this area will become a commercial and industrial site, so that we will continue to stage occasions like this, so that it is our homeland, but it is also our holy land. That is the prosperity that we have in our vision for you, the children of this area, and for the children of Trinidad and Tobago.
As Hindus get set to celebrate the Festival of Lights, Diwali, the minister also took the opportunity to urge citizens to take the Diwali message of good conquers evil to their communities.
The story of the Ram Leela is a story of sacrifice, of victory, of dedication, of commitment. And if those values can be instilled in our schools and in our national community, those values intrinsic in Ram Leela, we will have a much better society. The evil that Ravan and the Rakshas represents are also the evils that are abound in our society, whether it is crime, delinquency, alcoholism, whatever form of delinquency may exist. This is symbolized by the darkness, by the Rakshas, by all that Ravan would stand for. So at this time, when we celebrate the victory of Lord Rama and his triumphant return to Ayodhya, we also celebrate our victory, the victory of good over evil.
He adds that victory over society's ills was to be found in doing good.
Lord Rama, by his work, by his dedication, by his battles, with the strength of Lord Hanuman, they were able to triumph. I assure you that you will also triumph, that our government will also triumph, and victory will also belong to us. These are the lessons from our sacred texts that must play an important part as we reshape Trinidad and Tobago and develop this country into a country of prosperity for all.
This year Diwali falls on November 13th and is celebrated in the Hindu month of Kartik. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Meanwhile, keeping the traditions of Ram Leela alive starts with passing it on to the next generation. This was the message MP for Oropouche West, Stacey Rupnarayan, gave those gathered for the commencement of Ram Leela celebrations in Debe, in the Debe constituency, where she commended youths for their participation.
There is an urgent call to keep the traditions associated with Ram Leela and Diwali alive in our society. The message came from Minister of State in the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, Stacey Rupnarayan, who says keeping this tradition meant keeping communities across Trinidad and Tobago alive.
The play climaxes with the burning of Ravan in the significant triumph of good over evil. And one thing that is quite evident in these celebrations is that there is an undeniable sense of community spirit as villagers socialize while the play unfolds.
She notes recent steps have been taken to establish formal committees charged with organizing the celebration of Ram Leela. The minister adds such movements have the potential to promote celebrations as a main tourist attraction on the international market.
It was only earlier this year that we had the incorporation of the National Ram Leela Council of Trinidad and Tobago as an act of parliament, whereby that body is now officially recognized by the state. And as you know, the Prime Minister gave her commitment last year to the construction of a first Ram Leela Center in Trinidad and Tobago. This will not only boost Ram Leela in our country, it will develop the talents of our young one, and it will also promote Ram Leela on an international scale, whereby we have the potential to develop this as a tourist attraction in Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister Roop Narayan also commends youth for their involvement in the week-long play, as many lessons of self-discipline stood to be learned from their participation.
This tradition is of much significance for many reasons. It promotes that sense of community spirit. It promotes an avenue whereby our young people can be kept on a positive path, where they can learn art, religion, music, culture, spirituality, and discipline.
She calls on society to also start giving youth more chances in life, as they are the future of our nation.
As a society, we need to start giving young people more and more of a chance. We need to continue to create opportunities for them to excel, continue to create positive avenues to help them to develop their talents and to provide motivation for their excellence.
Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Ministry of National Security is calling on all officers across the country to make local law enforcement and public safety more effective for citizens, also to perform their duties with pride and integrity. The call was made during the launch of the National Security Officers Foundation.
Minister of National Security, the Honorable Jack Warner, says Cabinet had agreed in June this year to the establishment of a National Security Officers Foundation under the auspices of the Ministry of National Security, and to the dedication of a day each year as National Security Officers Day of Appreciation. Speaking at the launch of the foundation, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Mrs. Jennifer Buku Blake, says some of the laudable objectives of the foundation are as follows: to honor and remember national security officers who have died in the line of duty, to pay tribute to national security officers who continue to serve with distinction despite the odds, to provide scholarships and other forms of financial assistance to eligible dependents of fallen officers, and to serve as a support mechanism to assist survivors in overcoming the loss of their loved ones.
For it is my estimation that the hard-working uniformed officers of the Ministry of National Security and the officers of the protective services across government are the mainstay of our endeavors. Without their commitment to duty, we will not succeed. I have been privileged to see our police officers on roadblocks, sometimes in the early hours of the morning, and the enthusiasm exhibited never deflates.
She says for decades our patriots in the uniformed services have worked, a lot of them beyond the call of duty. Some have even given their ultimate sacrifice.
Your country and your ministry owes you a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid or quantified. Officers, this is an opportune moment for me to emphasize that in the discharge of your duties, you will always come under public scrutiny. Public expectations are always high. You must therefore always remember to be positive and exemplary in attitude and professional conduct.
Mrs. Buku Blake says the impression that the public have on officers will reflect on the services and agencies they represent, and by extension the country, by responsibly exercising the tremendous power given to them under the law.
I urge you to perform your duties with pride and integrity. Let the values of integrity, courage, loyalty, fairness, and professionalism act as a moral compass in your work and life. Be courageous, be honest, be caring, and know that you are doing one of the most important and necessary jobs to ensure the safety and security of our country.
The program also showcased performances from some of the talented officers.
Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth that a hero lies in you.
Joseph Lopez, News 4.
In other news, pretty soon staff and students of the University of the West Indies will have the opportunity to start their own business with an affordable loan from the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited. This after two institutions signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at encouraging business and economic growth in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Ministers of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprise Development and Tertiary Education and Skills Training were both on hand for the signing of the MOU between UWI and NEDCO at UWI's St. Augustine campus. The purpose of the agreement is to enhance the capacity of the micro and small enterprise sector to create new and dynamic possibilities for wealth creation and socio-economic growth. Addressing the crowd gathered to witness the historic signing, Labour Minister the Honourable Ewell MacLeod highlights some of the benefits which will be gained by the MOU. These, he says, include loans for staff and students of UWI St. Augustine to start their own businesses and constant training in entrepreneurial skills.
NEDCO shall provide loan financing and other support services to interested qualifying UWI staff and students and recent UWI graduates. IBIS and UWI shall establish a business incubator for students of UWI St. Augustine campus. UWI shall collaborate with NEDCO and IBIS to design, develop, and execute entrepreneurial programs for UWI students. NEDCO, IBIS, and UWI shall at least once per calendar year conduct an entrepreneurial training program for current and former students of the university.
Minister MacLeod also reveals plans for NEDCO to establish an office or branch on the UWI St. Augustine campus.
To facilitate these collaborative activities for the benefit of UWI students, UWI agrees that NEDCO may establish a presence on the UWI St. Augustine campus on a pilot basis and on terms and conditions to be agreed. I wish to advise that you should run for it. UWI shall assist in promoting NEDCO's and IBIS's presence on the UWI St. Augustine campus and NEDCO's services to UWI students.
The Labour Minister points out that aside from the entrepreneurial benefits to be gained from this agreement, various societal challenges can also be tackled so as to help shape people's lives.
The University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus and NEDCO are desirous of developing a strategic working relationship within the furtherance of each party's objectives to achieve long-term self-sustainable employment, human development, employment generation, and poverty reduction for our clients and by extension their families. It is the intention that together we can exchange ideas and enhance individual strengths of each organization so as to impact and shape lives, thereby contributing to greater productivity and wealth. Of course, there are many socio-economic benefits emanating from this partnership, which can no doubt assist in the reduction of the ills of society, such as poverty and crime.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Wayne Cunningham has a sport report right after the break. Welcome back. The girls intercall of the Secondary Schools Football League contested the final match of the quarter-final stage in the Northeast Division, with St. Augustine Secondary of the East taking on Bishop's Anstey North. The St. Augustine girls were favourites going into the match because of their stellar showing in the league, but few expected such dominance this deep into the knockout competition. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights from St. Augustine.
A place in the Northeast semi-finals of the girls' intercall was on the cards when St. Augustine Secondary hosted Bishop's North on Tuesday. The nerves showed early on for Bishop's as St. Augustine immediately went into full attack mode. Chelsea Gibbs should have opened the scoring for the girls in green after the fine build-up, but she shot straight at the keeper. They finally got the ball in the back of the net midway through the first half. Kidai Johnson slotting home to make it 1-0. That soon turned to 2-0. Naomi Guerra floating in the free kick, and Laurel Theodore sneaks in all alone at the far post to score. That will be the score at half-time. A chance for Bishops to plan how to get back into the match. Their strategizing could not prevent this. 2 minutes into the second half, Celeste Thomas with a scorcher to make it 3-0. They were not finished. Chelsea Gibbs getting in on the action with a fine turn and shot. Goal number 5 soon followed. Theodore showing some pace to lead the defenders at the half line before beating the keeper with a lob. Guerra tried to add more for the green machine, but the Bishop's custodian was behind this well-struck free kick. But that 6th item was not long in coming. Chadelle Fortune finding Gibbs at the top of the box, and she does the rest. It turned into the Chelsea Gibbs show as the match neared the final whistle. Her hat-trick came with another shot high into the net to make it 7-0 St. Augustine. That strike got the messages going via phone. That would be how it would end. Coach Desiree Sargent and her St. Augustine crew booking a place in Thursday's semi-final versus Providence Girls High School at the St. Anthony's College Ground in West Morings. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
We'll be back right after this. Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Roger Samuel, says there is an urgent need to address the spread of the HIV/AIDS virus here in Trinidad and Tobago. In an attempt to raise awareness of the disease, the ministry is taking its community caravan nationwide with hope of spreading the message, while at the same time provide free testing for the virus. Hundreds took the time off to stop by as the fair visited the San Juan district.
Recent statistics are showing that over 23,000 persons are living with the HIV/AIDS virus here in Trinidad and Tobago. Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Roger Samuel, revealed the figures during the HIV Community Outreach Caravan as it took to the district of San Juan in the 3rd installment of the program. He says the virus continues to be attributed for a number of deaths here in Trinidad and Tobago.
The most recent statistics, and I would like you to listen to this, the most recent statistics in 2011 indicates that over 23,000 people are infected with HIV/AIDS in Trinidad and Tobago. And new infections are diagnosed on a regular basis in Trinidad and Tobago. And in many instances, it is accounted for over 4,000 deaths attributed to the significance of HIV and AIDS.
The minister adds that if left unchecked, the virus has the potential to significantly affect our economy.
If we as a nation do not take stock of ourselves, do not begin to see the seriousness of HIV, then we would find ourselves not only having a health issue, not only having a social issue, but having a severe economic issue. It is said by the Health Economic Unit that it costs us approximately $1.75 billion annually to deal with the issue of HIV in Trinidad and Tobago. And that being the case, we would realize that it can become an economic issue if we do not take care of ourselves, if we do not deal with the issues, if we do not become a very responsible society.
It's caravans like these the minister hopes will educate the public on the disease. Stakeholders such as medical care providers, support groups and NGOs are invited to display their services and help get the message out there. One such organization is Rescue Mission, which aims at creating awareness of the virus while at the same time providing counseling for patients. The group has come up with a unique way in getting the message across to children who are living with the virus through a children's storybook. As member of the group Ria Sorzano explains, it's another way of getting the attention of the public to understand the seriousness of the disease.
Brenda has a dragon in her blood. This is really put into a story form. It is the AIDS story, the HIV virus is really the dragon here in the story that goes into a system, and the book is to inform like even as small as the kids so that they will know what is HIV all about and how it affects the system. It's a wonderful idea so that the kids could know from even at that small age, you know, because they love to read books. A lot of kids love to read books, and I think this is a fantastic idea. I was looking at it myself, and I believe that, well, hopefully when we get this information out, that the people really take the info and read it and educate themselves on what this is all about so that we can help each other.
Currently, the government of Trinidad and Tobago spends about $1,800 per year to treat one person affected with HIV/AIDS. It's expected that such caravans will visit districts across TNT with the aim of providing opportunities to get free testing for the virus as well as screening for other chronic diseases. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.